The massive alien ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a dark shadow against the stars. Commander Vex Ka stood on the bridge of the Time's Talon of Conquest *, his 6 arms crossed in satisfaction as he studied the readings on his screen. After 50,000 years of conquering worlds, this looked like another easy victory for the mighty Zelkari Empire. "Sir, we have completed our scan of the 3rd planet," reported his lieutenant, her scaled skin gleaming under the bridge lights. "The inhabitants call it Earth. They appear to be a primitive species with basic space technology." Vex Ka's mandibles clicked in amusement. The humans had managed to reach their own moon and build a few small stations. But that was nothing compared to the Empire's power. He had seen this pattern countless times before. A young species would develop simple rockets and think they were advanced, only to discover they were nothing more than insects compared to the Zelkari. "Any signs of advanced weapons or defense systems?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "None, sir. Their largest ships are crude metal vessels powered by chemical engines. We detected no energy shields, plasma weapons, or quantum drives. They should surrender immediately when they see our fleet." The commander nodded. The Zelkari Empire controlled 10,000 star systems across the galaxy. Their war fleets had never been defeated. Species either surrendered and became slaves, or they fought and were destroyed. There was no third option. What Vex Ka did not know was that his ship had been detected the moment it entered the solar system. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, Dr. Sarah Kim sat in a room filled with screens and flashing lights. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. "Contact confirmed," she said into her headset. "Alien vessel has arrived at coordinates 7-7 Alpha. Beginning full spectrum analysis." The Deep Space Monitoring Station looked like an old research facility to anyone who might stumble upon it. In reality, it was humanity's most advanced, early warning system. Sarah and her team had been tracking alien movements throughout the galaxy for over 200 years. "Sarah, are you seeing what I'm seeing?" asked Dr. James Park, her colleague who was studying the alien ship's energy signature. "Their technology is exactly what we predicted. The quantum resonance patterns match our models perfectly." Sarah smiled grimly. Humanity had not been idle during the past centuries. While the rest of the galaxy thought Earth was a backward world, humans had been preparing for this exact moment. Every piece of technology they had developed was designed with one purpose in mind: defeating aliens who thought they were superior. The Secret Defense Coalition had been formed 300 years ago, when humanity first intercepted alien radio signals. The world's greatest minds had united under one goal. They would be ready when the aliens finally came to Earth. "Activate Protocol 7, Sarah commanded. "Send the alert to all stations. The waiting is over." Across the solar system, hidden bases came to life. On Mars, underground factories began producing weapons that had been designed but never built. In the asteroid belt, mining stations revealed themselves to be heavily armed fortresses. Even Earth's moon opened secret doors that led to vast military complexes. Meanwhile, Commander Vex Ka was preparing his report to High Admiral Thorak, the supreme commander of the Zelkari warfleet. The admiral would be pleased to hear about another easy conquest. "The humans have approximately 8 billion individuals spread across their planet," Vex Ka dictated to his computer. "Their military forces use primitive projectile weapons and basic explosives. I estimate our standard invasion fleet of 1,000 ships will be more than sufficient to occupy their world within one solar rotation." The transmission was sent across subspace to the Admiral's flagship, currently stationed near the edge of Zelkari territory. High Admiral Thorak received the message while reviewing reports from a dozen other potential conquest targets. Thorak was ancient even by Zelkari standards. He had personally overseen the conquest of over 500 worlds. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he read Vex Ka's report. Another primitive species to add to the Empire's growing collection of slaves. "Prepare the 3rd Fleet for immediate departure," he ordered his staff. We will show these humans the power of the Zelkari Empire. Back on Earth, General Marcus Chen stood in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. The vast room was filled with officers from every nation on Earth. For the first time in human history, the entire planet was united under a single military command. "Ladies and gentlemen," the general announced, "the moment we have trained for has arrived. Our enemy believes we are weak and helpless. They are about to learn the truth about humanity." President Elena Rodriguez joined him at the main display screen. She had been elected specifically because she knew about the Secret Defense Coalition. Only a few dozen people on Earth knew the full truth about humanity's preparations. "General Chen," she said quietly, "are we really ready for this?" The general's eyes were hard as steel. "Madam President, we have spent 3 centuries preparing for this war. Our technology is beyond anything the galaxy has ever seen. Our weapons can destroy entire fleets. Our soldiers are trained to fight enemies they have never met. We are not just ready. We are going to show the universe what happens when someone threatens Earth." High above them, alien ships began appearing throughout the solar system. The Zelkari fleet moved with confident precision, never imagining that every move was being tracked and analyzed by human sensors. The trap was set. The prey was walking into position. Soon, the galaxy would discover that humanity was not another weak species to be conquered. They were the apex predator that had been waiting in the shadows. High Admiral Thorak's fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm cloud blotting out the stars. 1,000 Zelkari warships arranged themselves in perfect formation around Earth, their dark hulls gleaming with the power of weapons that had destroyed countless worlds. The Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Time's Eternal Domination Asterisk, and gazed at the small blue planet below. It looked so peaceful and defenseless. No orbital defense platforms. No massive battle stations. Just a few tiny space stations that barely qualified as military targets. "Begin the standard invasion protocol," Thorak commanded his bridge crew. "Open a communication channel to the planet's surface." The transmission reached every radio and television on Earth simultaneously. The alien admiral's image appeared on screens worldwide, his 4 red eyes glowing with ancient authority. "Primitive beings of the world you call Earth." Thorak's voice echoed across the planet. "I am High Admiral Thorak of the Zelkari Empire. You have been selected for incorporation into our domain. Surrender immediately, and you will be allowed to serve as workers. Resist, and your species will be eliminated. You have one of your planetary rotations to decide." The transmission ended, leaving billions of humans staring at their screens in apparent shock and terror. News anchors stammered as they tried to process what they had just witnessed. Government leaders held emergency meetings. Military bases around the world went on high alert. At least, that was what the Zelkari saw from their ships above. In reality, every human on Earth knew exactly what was happening. They had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. The panic they showed was carefully planned theater, designed to make their enemies overconfident. President Rodriguez sat in the hidden command center, watching the alien fleet through advanced sensors that made their technology look like toys. "How many ships, General Chen?" "Exactly 1,000, as predicted," the general replied. "Standard Zelkari invasion force. They're positioning themselves for orbital bombardment, just like our intelligence said they would." Dr. Sarah Kim was analyzing the alien ships in real time, her computers breaking down their technology faster than the Zelkari could think. "Their shields are using outdated quantum matrices," she reported. "Our weapons will cut through them like paper. Their hulls are made of collapsed matter. But we developed countermeasures for that 50 years ago." Colonel Jin Park was coordinating with hidden bases throughout the solar system. His fingers moved across holographic controls that would have seemed like magic to the aliens above. "Luna Base is ready. Mars Command is standing by. All asteroid fortresses are armed and locked onto targets." The Zelkari fleet settled into position, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They had done this same routine hundreds of times before. A few demonstrations of power, some orbital bombardment, and the primitives would surrender completely. What they didn't notice were the subtle energy readings coming from throughout the solar system. Hidden sensors that had been watching them since they arrived. Weapons, platforms, disguised as asteroids. Ships that looked like civilian vessels, but carried enough firepower to level continents. "Sir," reported Commander Vex Ka from his position near Earth's moon. "The humans appear to be panicking. Their communication networks are breaking down. Many of their cities have gone dark." "Well, one." Admiral Thorak nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent. Begin moving the fleet into close formation. We'll demonstrate our power with a few surgical strikes, then demand their final surrender." The Zelkari ships moved closer to Earth, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Plasma cannons that could melt mountain ranges, quantum disruptors that could tear apart molecular bonds, gravity bombs that could shatter tectonic plates. Below them, human evacuation ships launched from spaceports around the world. Thousands of vessels that looked like desperate civilian transports, fleeing the planet in terror. The Zelkari tracked them easily, assuming they were watching the collapse of human civilization. "Should we destroy the fleeing ships, Admiral?" asked one of his officers. "No," Thorak replied. "Let them run. We want survivors to spread word of Zelkari power throughout this region of space. Fear is often more useful than destruction." What the Admiral didn't realize was that those evacuation ships were actually the most advanced warships humanity had ever built. They moved with precision that would have been impossible for panicked civilians. Their hulls contained weapons technology that made Zelkari plasma cannons look primitive. Captain Lisa Zhang commanded one of these vessels, the ship that appeared to be a simple cargo transport. In reality, the Time's hidden Fang Times carried enough quantum torpedoes to destroy half the alien fleet by itself. "All ships, this is Zhang," she transmitted on secure channels. "Maintain the deception. Let them get closer. When General Chen gives the signal, we show them what human engineering can really do." Dr. Kim made a discovery that changed everything. "General, I've found it. The critical flaw in their shield technology. If we hit them with inverted quantum pulses at exactly the right frequency, their own shields will implode and take their ships with them." General Chen smiled for the first time in months. "Doctor, you may have just shortened this war from days to hours." The Zelkari fleet moved into perfect position. Every ship was exactly where human battle computers had predicted they would be. Admiral Thorak prepared to give the order for bombardment, completely unaware that he was leading his fleet into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. On Earth, the fake panic continued. Cities remained dark. Communications seemed chaotic. Everything pointed to a species on the verge of collapse. Colonel Park watched the enemy positions on his tactical display. "General, they're all in the kill zone. Every single ship is exactly where we want them." General Chen stood and walked to the center of the command room. Around him, the greatest military minds in human history waited for his word. Outside, 1,000 alien warships prepared to destroy his world. "Ladies and gentlemen," the general said quietly, "it's time to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens Earth. Activate all systems. Drop the masks. Let them see what we really are. We just ring the Grest Relling. We have to sitter outing. We want to one resetter daughter." His finger moved toward the activation switch. In a few seconds, the Zelkari would discover that humanity was not their prey. They were about to become humanities. The moment General Chen pressed the activation switch, the solar system transformed into humanity's greatest weapon. The fleeing civilian ships suddenly stopped running and turned to face the Zelkari fleet. Their hulls split open to reveal weapons that glowed with impossible energy. The cargo vessels that had seemed so helpless now bristled with cannons that made alien plasma weapons look like toys. Captain Zhang spoke into her communicator with deadly calm. All units, masks off. Show them who we really are. The Time's hidden Fang Times dropped its disguise completely. The simple cargo ship revealed itself as a sleek predator, covered in weapons that could tear apart reality itself. Around the solar system, hundreds of other human ships did the same. Admiral Thorak stared in shock as his sensors went crazy with new readings. What is happening? Where did all these ships come from? Wanna. His question was answered when Earth's moon cracked open like an egg. The surface split apart to reveal the massive guns of Luna Base. Weapons so large they could be seen from Earth with the naked eye. Colonel Park had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. Luna Base to all human forces, Park transmitted. Weapons free. Target the flagship first. The moon fired a single shot. The beam of pure energy crossed the space between Luna and the Zelkari flagship in less than a second. It struck the Time's Eternal Domination's Time's shields and did something impossible. It went right through them, as if they weren't there. The beam punched through the massive alien ship from bow to stern. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the flagship began breaking apart, as its own power systems turned against it, just as Dr. Kim had predicted. Impossible, Thorak screamed as his ship died around him. Our shields are impenetrable. Our armor has never been breached. But humanity had spent centuries studying Zelkari technology through intercepted communications. They knew exactly how alien shields worked. More importantly, they knew how to make those shields destroy the ships they were supposed to protect. The asteroid belt came alive with weapons fire. What the Zelkari had assumed were simple mining operations revealed themselves as heavily armed fortresses. Rocks that had looked natural split open to show massive railguns that launched projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. Mars fired its own hidden weapons. The red planet's surface opened in a dozen places, revealing the barrels of guns so large they dwarfed anything in the Zelkari arsenal. Each shot could destroy an entire enemy squadron. Commander Vexkaya watched in horror as his easy conquest turned into a nightmare. Admiral, we're losing ships faster than our computers can count. Their weapons are cutting through our finest vessels like they're made of paper. What terrified the aliens most was how precisely the humans fought. Every shot hit exactly where it was supposed to. Every maneuver was calculated perfectly. The human ships moved like they could predict what the Zelkari would do before the aliens even decided. Dr. Kim had cracked their military computer systems during the first few minutes of battle. Every Zelkari ship was transmitting its battle plans directly to human computers without knowing it. The aliens were fighting an enemy who could read their minds. Captain Zhang led her squadron in a devastating attack on the Zelkari left flank. Her ships moved in patterns that violated everything the aliens knew about space combat. They accelerated and turned in ways that should have been impossible. How are they moving like that? One Zelkari officer screamed as human ships danced around his weapons fire. No ship can change direction that quickly. The answer was simple but revolutionary. Humanity had mastered gravity manipulation decades ago. Their ships didn't push against space. They bent space around themselves. To human pilots, the impossible turns felt as gentle as a walk in the park. The battle was becoming a slaughter. Zelkari ships exploded by the dozens as human weapons found their targets with mechanical precision. The aliens' vaunted plasma cannons couldn't even lock on to the human vessels, which moved too fast and too unpredictably. Admiral Thorak, now commanding from a backup bridge after his flagship was destroyed, tried desperately to understand what was happening. How can a primitive species have technology superior to ours? We've conquered the galaxy for 50,000 years. Colonel Park answered that question by demonstrating humanity's tactical brilliance. He coordinated attacks from Luna Base, Mars Command, and the asteroid fortresses to create a cage of energy around the remaining Zelkari ships. Every escape route was cut off. Attention Zelkari forces. Park broadcast on their communication frequencies. You are surrounded and outgunned. Your shields cannot protect you. Your weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now, or be destroyed. Some Zelkari ships tried to run. They found their path blocked by human vessels that appeared from nowhere, moving faster than anything should be able to move through space. Others tried to fight harder, only to discover that their most powerful weapons couldn't even scratch human armor. Dr. Kim watched the battle from her monitoring station, analyzing every piece of data. General Chen, we've destroyed 800 enemy ships in the first hour. The remaining vessels are damaged and trapped. Their communication systems are jammed, and their escape routes are sealed. General Chen nodded grimly. The trap had worked perfectly, but this was only the beginning. What about their reinforcements? Surely they'll send more ships when these don't report back. That's where it gets interesting, sir, Doctor, Kim replied with a small smile. I've accessed their military database. We now know the location of every Zelkari fleet in the galaxy. More importantly, we know how to destroy them all. The remaining Zelkari ships floated helplessly in space, their crews realizing that they had walked into a trap set by a species far more advanced than they had ever imagined. Admiral Thorak's voice came over the communication channels, filled with defeat and confusion. Human vessels, this is Admiral Thorak. We surrender. Please, we surrender. Captain Zhang's voice replied, calm and professional. Admiral, you will prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your remaining ships. The time for Zelkari dominance is over. As human marines prepared to board the alien vessels, General Chen turned to his staff. Begin Phase 2. Send our fleets to liberate every world the Zelkari have conquered. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity protects those who cannot protect themselves. The battle for Earth was over. The war for galactic freedom was just beginning. Admiral Thorak sat in the interrogation room aboard the human flagship Times Terran Resolve *, his forearms bound with restraints that he couldn't even see. The technology was so advanced that he wasn't sure if he was actually restrained or if the humans had simply convinced his nervous system that he couldn't move. General Chen sat across from him, flanked by Dr. Sarah Kim and Colonel Jin Park. The human officers looked calm and professional, as if capturing the supreme commander of a galactic empire was just another day at work. Admiral, General Chen began, I want you to understand something. We know everything about your empire. We've known for over 200 years. The only question now is whether your species survives. What comes next? Thorak's mandibles clicked nervously. Impossible. You're a primitive species. You've barely left your own star system. How could you know about technologies that took us millennia to develop? Dr. Kim activated a holographic display that showed the entire galaxy. Thousands of star systems lit up in red, marking Zelkari territory. But scattered throughout were blue dots, showing human observation posts that the aliens had never detected. 400 years ago, we intercepted your first radio transmissions, Kim explained. We've been listening to your communications, studying your technology, and watching your empire ever since. Every battle you've fought, every species you've conquered, every weakness in your military, we know it all. The display zoomed in on specific battles, showing Zelkari fleets in action against other species. The humans had recordings of everything, transmitted through quantum relays that the aliens couldn't detect. Your empire made one critical mistake, Colonel Park added. You assumed that intelligence and advanced technology would always reveal themselves obviously. You never considered that a truly advanced species might choose to appear primitive while they prepared for war. Thorak stared at the evidence before him. But why? Why spend centuries preparing to fight us? We meant you no harm until we decided to expand into your region. General Chen leaned forward. Because we learned about your empire by watching what you did to others. We saw you destroy the Kethri civilization. We watched you enslave the Vrex colonies. We witnessed the genocide of the Talnari because they refused to surrender. We decided that when you finally came for Earth, we would be ready. The holographic display showed images that made Thorak flinch, his own forces destroying cities, enslaving populations, eliminating entire species that resisted Zelkari rule. Seen through human eyes, the Empire's glorious conquests looked like the actions of monsters. We spent 4 centuries turning our entire civilization into a weapon designed specifically to destroy yours, Dr. Kim continued. Every human advance was tested against Zelkari technology. Every strategy was developed to counter your tactics. Every weapon was built to penetrate your defenses. She showed him technical diagrams that revealed the true scope of human preparation. Their gravity weapons were designed to crush Zelkari armor. Their quantum computers were built to break alien encryption. Their ship designs countered every advantage the Empire thought it possessed. The funny thing is, Colonel Park said with a grim smile, you actually helped us. Every transmission you sent, every battle you fought, every piece of technology you used, it all made us stronger. We learned from your victories and your mistakes. Thorak's worldview was crumbling. But our Empire controls 10,000 star systems. Our fleets have never been defeated. Your Empire controls 10,000 star systems because you've only fought species that weren't prepared for you, General Chen corrected. You've never faced an enemy that spent centuries studying how to kill you specifically. You've never fought someone who knows your tactics better than you do. Dr. Kim activated another display that showed real-time positions of every Zelkari fleet in the galaxy. We've been tracking your ships through quantum resonance patterns for decades. Right now, we know the exact location of every major Zelkari force. We can destroy them all within 72 hours if we choose to. The Admiral's eyes widened as he realized the implications. You could destroy our entire civilization? We could, General Chen confirmed, but we won't. Do you know why? Thorak shook his head, completely lost. Because unlike your Empire, we don't believe in conquest for its own sake. We fight to protect the innocent, not to dominate the weak. We're going to give you a choice, Admiral. Colonel Park took over the explanation. Option 1. We dismantle your Empire by force. We destroy every Zelkari fleet, liberate every enslaved world, and put your species on a single planet where you can't harm anyone else. This option results in the deaths of millions of your people. The Admiral shuddered at the thought. Option 2, Dr. Kim continued. Your Empire surrenders voluntarily. You help us liberate the species you've enslaved. You provide reparations for the damage you've caused. Your military is reduced to a planetary defense force, but your civilization survives and eventually earns the right to join the galactic community as equals. General Chen stood and walked to the window that showed Earth in the distance. Your Empire's mistake was believing that might makes right, that the strong should rule the weak. We believe the strong should protect the weak. That's why we're going to win this war, Admiral. Not because our weapons are better, but because our cause is just. Thorak sat in silence for several minutes, processing everything he had learned. His Empire, which had seemed invincible for 50,000 years, had been outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitives. What about my people? He finally asked. What happens to the Zelkari if we surrender? You learn to live peacefully, Dr. Kim replied. Some of your kind will work with us to repair the damage your Empire caused. Others will help us establish new governments on liberated worlds. Your scientists will contribute to galactic research projects. Your people will have a future, Admiral. Just not as conquerors. Colonel Park added, We've already identified several Zelkari officers who opposed your Empire's methods. They'll help lead your species toward a better path. General Chen turned back to face the alien Admiral. The choice is yours, Thorak. Will you help us end this war quickly and peacefully? Or will you force us to end it through destruction? The Admiral looked at the humans who had defeated him so completely. They could have simply destroyed his fleet and moved on to crush his empire. Instead, they were offering his people a chance at redemption. "I will help you," Thorak said quietly. "I will help you destroy the empire I spent my life building, because after seeing what you've shown me, I realize it should have been destroyed long ago." General Chen nodded. "Then let's begin. Dr. Kim, contact all human fleets. Tell them to begin liberation operations. It's time to free the galaxy." 1 year after the Battle of Earth, former High Admiral Thorak stood beside General Chen on the observation deck of the Times Galactic Freedom *, humanity's first diplomatic vessel. Below them, the planet Kethrol was green and alive again, its cities rebuilt, and its people free for the first time in 3,000 years. "It's hard to believe," Thorak said quietly, "that we held this world enslaved for so long. Look at what they've accomplished in just 1 year of freedom." General Chen nodded as he watched Kethri children playing in gardens that had been slave labor camps under Zelkari rule. "Freedom has a way of bringing out the best in people. Your empire never gave them the chance to show what they could do." The liberation of the galaxy had taken only 6 months. Human fleets had appeared simultaneously at every major Zelkari stronghold, offering the same choice that had been given to Admiral Thorak: surrender and help rebuild, or be destroyed. Most Zelkari commanders had chosen surrender after learning what happened to Earth's invasion fleet. President Rodriguez's broadcast to the galaxy had changed everything. Her message, transmitted on every known frequency, had been simple but powerful. To all enslaved peoples, help is coming. To all oppressors, your time is over. Dr. Sarah Kim was now Director of Galactic Communications, coordinating the complex process of establishing governments on hundreds of liberated worlds. She joined Chen and Thorak on the observation deck, carrying a tablet full of reports. "The Vrex colonies have officially formed their own federation," she reported. "They're requesting human advisors to help establish their defense forces. The Talnari survivors want to return to their homeworld. We've verified it's safe for resettlement." Colonel Park had been promoted to Admiral Park, commanding humanity's peacekeeping fleets. His ships were stationed throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors but as protectors. Former Zelkari officers served under him, learning new ways to use their military skills. "Any problems with the transition?" General Chen asked. Dr. Kim shook her head. "A few isolated incidents, but nothing major. Most species are adapting well to freedom. The hardest part is convincing some of them that we're not just replacing the Zelkari Empire with a human one. That had been humanity's greatest challenge. After 50,000 years of Zelkari rule, many species couldn't imagine any other form of government. They expected their liberators to become their new masters. It took time and patience to show them that humans were different. The Galactic Liberation Alliance had been formed 6 months after the war ended. Every free species had an equal voice, regardless of their size or power. Humanity held no special position except as the Alliance's military protectors, and even that role was temporary until other species could defend themselves. Captain Lisa Zhang had been promoted to Admiral Zhang, commanding the rapid response fleets that dealt with the few remaining Zelkari holdouts. Most of the Empire had surrendered, but a handful of commanders still tried to maintain their old ways. Admiral Zhang reports that the last rebel fleet has been captured, Dr. Kim continued. Commander Vex Ka finally surrendered after his officers mutinied against him. Apparently, they decided they preferred freedom to following a leader who couldn't accept that the war was over. Thorak winced at the mention of his former subordinate. Vex Ka was always too proud for his own good. I hope he can learn to change. Everyone deserves the chance to change, General Chen replied. Even those who were our enemies. The proof of that philosophy stood beside him. Thorak had become one of humanity's most valuable allies, helping to coordinate the peaceful transition of former Zelkari territory. His knowledge of the Empire's structure had prevented countless conflicts during the liberation process. President Rodriguez appeared on the observation deck, looking tired but satisfied. She had spent the past year coordinating with leaders from hundreds of different species, helping to establish the new galactic order. "The Galactic Assembly is ready to begin," she announced. "Representatives from over 300 worlds are waiting for us." The first official Galactic Assembly was being held on Kethral, chosen specifically because it represented the hope of the new alliance. A world that had suffered under tyranny was now hosting the birth of galactic democracy. As they walked toward the assembly hall, Thorak spoke quietly to General Chen. "I still don't understand why you chose mercy over vengeance. My people caused so much suffering. We deserve to be destroyed." General Chen stopped walking and faced the former admiral. "Admiral, we didn't show mercy because you deserved it. We showed mercy because we deserved to be better than our enemies. Destroying your empire would have made us conquerors, just like you were. Healing the galaxy makes us something more." The assembly hall was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Species that had been enemies under Zelkari rule now sat side by side, working together to build a better future. The diversity was overwhelming. Beings of every possible shape, size, and biological type, united by their shared love of freedom. President Rodriguez stepped to the podium and began her address to the assembled representatives. "1 year ago, our galaxy was divided between rulers and slaves. Today, we are all citizens of a free and peaceful alliance. This transformation was possible because we chose cooperation over conquest, healing over hatred." She looked directly at the Zelkari delegation, led by Thorak. "We welcome our former enemies as friends and partners. The past cannot be changed, but the future is ours to shape together." Dr. Kim watched from the audience as species after species pledged their commitment to the new alliance. The scientific cooperation protocols she had developed were already producing amazing results. Technologies that had been hoarded by the Zelkari Empire were now shared freely among all member worlds. Colonel Park, now Admiral Park, commanded fleets that included ships from dozens of different species. Former enemies worked side by side, protecting trade routes and responding to natural disasters throughout the galaxy. The Assembly voted unanimously to establish the Galactic Peace Enforcement Protocol. Any species that attempted to build an empire or enslave others would face the combined might of the entire alliance. The age of conquest was over. As the ceremony ended, Thorak found himself standing alone with General Chen outside the assembly hall. The former admiral looked up at the stars, visible through the transparent dome above them. "General, what happens now? What does humanity do next?" Chen smiled and put his hand on the alien's shoulder. "The same thing we've always done, Admiral. We protect those who can't protect themselves. We explore new worlds and make new friends. We prove that strength is best used in service of others. And if new threats emerge, if other empires try to follow in our footsteps," the general's expression grew serious, "then they'll discover what the Zelkari learned. Humanity stands ready to defend freedom, no matter the cost. We are the guardians of the galaxy now, and we will never let tyranny rise again." Above them, the stars shone brightly in the night sky. Among those stars, human ships patrolled peacefully, their crews drawn from dozens of different worlds. The galaxy was free, and humanity would make sure it stayed that way. The age of empires was over. The age of freedom had begun.